So could you explain to us what is actually happening in Hong Kong?
Okay, so these protests started back in, I believe, end of May or early June when a extradition bill was proposed. And the extradition bill was, a lot of people in Hong Kong saw that as a veiled attempt to be able to extradite people from Hong Kong to mainland China. And just with people feeling like China's been encroaching on the rights of Hong Kongers, it sort of broke the camel's back. That was sort of the final straw for a lot of people. And so they started protesting. And it's funny because what could have been put to rest very easily, they ended up withdrawing the bill formally anyway, not too long ago. But if they had done that months ago, this wouldn't have spiraled into what it is now. Now they have 5 demands. There's been incredibly harsh police brutality. There's been basically every single week there's been protests, and they've had up to 500,000 people marching in the streets in pouring rain, in extremely hot weather. And it's just incredible determination on the part of these protesters, incredible organization. And it's funny because you're starting to see other movements take tactics from the Hong Kong protesters because of how effective they've been in just staying unified and staying on message. I've never covered anything like it. It's extremely well organized, and it's not the kind of solidarity or unification you see in a lot of movements. A lot of people will try to co-opt it and push their own messages, but they have their 5 demands now. And
which are what?
So they want full withdrawal of the extradition bill, which finally just recently happened. They want dual universal suffrage for the Legislative Council and I think one of the other, I can't remember what the other government body is, but they want to be able to choose their own leaders rather than having the Chinese Communist Party choose who they can elect from. Okay. They want the classification of rioters to be dropped because basically in order to protest in Hong Kong, you have to apply for a letter of no objection. And if you get that letter of no objection, then you can protest. But what they tried to do to stop the protest was not issue any of the letters of no objection. So if they don't, then they get charged with rioting. A riot charge can put you in prison for up to 10 years. So they want the classification of riots to be dropped. They want amnesty for the arrested protesters. How many is that? I think that's, and the last one is they want an independent investigation into the police for the conduct that they've been using. They've been using expired tear gas. They've been using excessive force. They've been firing tear gas in enclosed spaces, which is extremely dangerous. They've been targeting journalists. When they enacted the anti-mask law, the idea was that you're not allowed to be wearing a mask when you're protesting. But they were supposed to make exceptions for people who need masks for work, which would be journalists. However, they were still abusing that, and even people who weren't protesting, they would arrest them for wearing masks, or they would intimidate them. They told journalists that they couldn't wear a mask, and threatened to rip them off. And yeah, it's just really no accountability on behalf of the police, and basically, the government has been running defense for them and trying to justify all of the tactics they've been using, and it's kind of gone out of control. The public in Hong Kong has sort of turned against, one of the main things that a social movement needs is public support, and one of the best ways to squash a movement is to turn the public against them. It's extremely hard for them to do that when the police are also harassing, intimidating, and brutalizing regular citizens, not just protesters. So even if they do try to put undercover police into the protests and have them either beat people up, throw Molotov cocktails, or cause general chaos, the overwhelming majority of the public support is still with the Hong Kong protesters. There was one instance they were trying to kettle the protesters. And basically, because they couldn't run away, they were basically cornered, and a bunch of residents opened their doors to let them into the building and hide them. You don't really see that in any other protest anywhere else. It's really incredible.